Twilight's Nightmare, Chapter 5, The Fantastic Adventures of the Princess and Her Little Star. Star happily trotted alongside next to the princess, keeping up despite her shorter limbs, and she felt good. She felt great. She felt better than she ever had in her whole life. The princess was proud of her, praised her spell work, and even hugged her. Now, she was taking her on an adventure in this unexplored historical site. It was all she could do to not prance around in sheer joy. How could one day get any better? In fact, a superior day was likely a scientific and magical impossibility. The only thing that could make it better would be to find out she was secretly the princess's daughter, and she would grow up into an alicorn, able to stay by the princess's side till the end of time. Oh, what she could learn if she had all that time. She blinked once, the implications of not having that time to share with the princess trying to contaminate her good mood. All the stuff she would not get to learn because she did not have all that time. All the time, she would not be able to be with her princess. A single tear threatened to fall from her eyes, and she sniffed quietly.
1.
A monotone, defeated-sounding mare's voice said. Star found herself scratching the number on a scroll levitating next to her. It had many sections, steps taken, tiles walked on, loose stones in the temple, and many, many more. How did she not notice that she had been writing all of this? She nearly stumbled. What, did she have a subconscious compulsion to count everything? The heading she wrote the number 1 under was Tears. Strangely, it was next to Hugs, with the Nightmare, which was at 2. The princess's ears swiveled to Star as if sensing Star's falling mood. Then, after a moment, she turned her long, graceful neck looking back to her, still with that special smile that let her know how proud the princess was of her. Star felt a surge of happiness welling up inside of her. So what if she seemed addicted to counting? Everything was perfect. That one smile, that one look, that was all she needed. All she wanted. So she was not immortal. Her time was limited. Such facts could not do nothing to get her down today. She would just have to make sure to keep giving the princess reasons to be proud of her, to have more reasons to keep smiling at her like that. She would give her many, many such reasons and would record each one with joy. Nodding, her self-set goal firmly in mind, she would prove herself to her princess every chance that she could get. She started a detailed explanation of the temple. She would demonstrate how good of a student she was. That way, the princess would need no other students for as long as Star lived. Oh, she almost forgot that they were meant to be cleaning this place. One after another, she conjured some feather dusters, dustpans, and brooms, and each she wrapped in a come-to-life spell around, setting them free to do their work. She was looking forward to going home with the princess and wanted no delays. Where was home for the princess? Was it a castle, or was it a palace? Would she get her own room? Would it be big? Would she have a personal library? Oh, her own library. Just the thought of all those books. Each of them hers. Oh, she could use the same spell she used to get the cleaning done to help take notes. That way, she could record everything and continue her lecture to the princess at the same time. Multitasking? Yay! It took assigning 3 self-animated scrolls to the counting voice to let Star put it out of her mind and stop wanting to pause everything to immediately record the numbers it reported. Smiling, everything else being taken care of, she turned all of her conscious attention to the princess, the counting becoming nothing more than a relaxing background sound. It reminded her of her favorite sound, that of pages turning in a library. Star had a goofy smile. An outside observer could be forgiven for thinking she was intoxicated with happiness. She was surrounded by a swarm of flying self-writing scrolls, her own invention she was proudly calling S5, being short for Star's Super Self-Scribing Scrolls. She was wrong. The day could get better. She passed a surprise test. She didn't even know it was coming, but she passed it with flying colors. Not that she could fly. What was up with that saying anyway? The test was a little scary, but she would never, never disappoint the princess. The test was to efficiently find the way out. She had used the carvings on the walls for clues to guide them to the main entrance. She had set about studying them with the help of her counting voice, and she found the pattern in the artwork and followed the clues. Now, here they were. Her test complete. the way out just past the next chamber. She felt a bit like Daring Do on an adventure. If she was, did that mean that there would be traps? No, maybe she wasn't Daring Do. Traps did not sound like they would be pleasant to encounter. They could get in the way of her studying these ancient carvings. The princess's stride changed, going from stately to a cat-like prowl. Star's eyes snapped to the princess, alert, ears up and rotating, seeking and listening. What did the princess notice? She looked like she was getting ready for action, and this was so exciting, but also it was so scary. But the princess was here, she would be safe, and she would be brave. Star. Her eyes glued onto the princess, watching as she stealthily approached the entrance archways leading to the final chamber. Okay, maybe this is more like Daring Do now. With a wave of her wing, the princess indicated for Star to wait where she was and stay quiet. Alright. Yeah, she could do this. Star sat on her haunches, waiting like a good student. The swarm of her S5s were not conducive to being unnoticed, so with an arcane twist of the 5th dimension, she opened a new dimensional pocket. She magically labeled it S5 Aviary, and commanded all of them inside. Once her flock of squirrels were safe and out of sight, she closed the entrance to their aviary. The small ripple of 5th dimensional magic as it closed had echoes in it, and the echoes contained labels done in the same way she had just used, even written in her own short hoof encoding. She blinked, confused for a moment, before rapidly examining the labels and the arcane texture of the echoes before they faded. It was clear that she had multiple pockets linked to her. The Daring Do fan supplies immediately jumped to her attention. She opened it hungrily, looking inside. A childlike grin on her face, Star pulled out a pith helmet modified for a unicorn. Spinning it with a flourish, she popped it onto her head. Now she was ready. Let the adventure commence. She raised her hoof and almost cheered before she caught herself.
Stealth mission. Stealth mission, silly Star. You almost blew it there.
There's no point in hiding. We know you're there, Alicorn. A male villain's voice called out from the chamber up ahead. The princess's ears fell for a moment. Oh no. Oh no. Her playing around must have let the bad guys know they were here. The princess would be so disappointed in her. She had to fix this somehow. What to do? Suddenly, she remembered reading the Notice Me Not spell in a book that had also the Want It Need It spell. And rapidly, she cast the Notice Me Not spell. Stupid. She should have cast it before Hoof. She knew they were meant to be being stealthy. A loud impact sound. Star jumped in fright, almost hitting the ceiling before falling back down. Eyes wide, she saw the princess had just slammed her hoof down onto the stone, cracking it. Some sort of non-kinetic ripple raced through the ground, and it tickled her hooves. She desperately held in her laugh. What was that? Princess Nightmare, the brave and powerful, made her entrance, confronting the villain. Her wings flared dramatically. Oh, this was just like the books. Star's panic dissipated, excitement simply barging it aside, burning it away with its intensity. 2 quick pulses of magic later, and she had a short-range scrying spell, giving her a front-row seat and a scroll ready to record the epicness for the ages. She titled the scroll The Fantastic Adventures of the Princess and Her Little Star.
The best Princess Nightmare bravely confronted the bad guy of meanness,
she wrote. With awe, Star watched the princess calmly look around the room. The 9 black-robed, clearly evil, villains were standing in a semicircle around the entrance to the chamber. The one in the middle took a step forward.
This must be where the bad guy does a monologue,
Star quietly mumbled to herself, quill perched, ready to record everything. Blood magic, dear Twilight. Celestia would be so disappointed with you. She might even send you back to magical kindergarten, he sneered. Anger flared in Star. Not only was her spell work being criticized, but he was threatening the princess with that. Star shuddered. How could any pony be so wicked?
Hey, that spell was perfect! No need to go send the princess to magical kindergarten!
Star shouted, slightly squeaky and enraged. Star froze and panicked. She had interfered. She was meant to stay hidden. It took her a few very long feeling seconds, heart pounding in her chest, her body too frozen to realize that no pony heard her, and that they could not. That Notice Me Not spell worked exceptionally. She would have to remember it next time she tried to sneak cookies out of the palace kitchen. She let out a now calm breath and considered what she had heard. The princess had another name, Twilight. That was a beautiful name. Was it Twilight Nightmare or Nightmare Twilight? She was not sure which sounded better. Star smiled. She had learned something new about the princess.
I'm the elements of magic. All magic bends to my will. Do you truly think one such as you can stand against me?
Princess Twilight Nightmare purred with menace. Another new thing. Then she paused. The counting voice did not increase its count on things known about Princess Nightmare? Did she already know it? Or was it untrue? The action continuing snapped Star out of her mental ramblings. She faithfully recorded every detail, every expression, and even started some sketches, 5 quills now, dancing in her magical grip. The princess leaned forward intimidatingly, her horn lit with enough magic that it sent a tremor through Star's horn, even so far back. If she did not know the princess was the hero here, Star would say she would make a scary villain, wrapped in her blood-red armor. I do. The stallion let out a cruel bark of laughter. You're nothing but the rarest of spell components to me, princess. The princess flicked her eyes to the exit.
And you are worthless than the dust on my hooves. I shall be leaving now.
Star focused her magical senses, trying to learn every detail of the spell that the powerful Princess Nightmare Twilight was about to cast. Visually from the scrying spell, it was a thick spiraling lance of compressed ebony fire launched from the princess's horn. A moment later, the arcane pulse ripped through her horn. Star screamed and fell to the ground.
Ow, 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 ow.
Star held her eyes closed, rubbing her horn, trying to work out how she was tasting colors and hearing the cold of the stone floor she was laying on.
8.
The counting voice duly reported how many seconds she had not been paying attention to the scrying spell.
No, not now.
Her princess growled, filled with rage and panic. That sounded bad. Star shook her head, trying to set right her senses before taking the voice's hint and looking back through the scrying spell. The princess, her princess, was on fire. She was burning, crumbled to the ground, curled up in pain. The counting voice seemed to have stopped counting everything except the horror happening to her princess.
12.
Kinetic blasts dispersed by armor.
3.
Direct hits from kinetic blasts.
18.
Cuts from metal blades.
2.
Seconds of the princess's flesh and very wellspring burning.
No, 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 no!
Star screamed in horror. This could not be happening.
34.
Seconds until the princess's wellspring is empty.
No!
Star bellowed, determined. The princess could not die. She wouldn't allow it. Her mind quickly fell back to panic. What could she do? She wasn't any hero. Her mind flicked back to the warmth she had felt under the princess's wing. That proud smile. No. She wouldn't disappoint the princess.
33.
The monotoned voice of the counter almost seemed to have the slightest hint of urgency. Shunting fear and hesitation aside, she shifted her mind. This was just a test. Only a problem to be solved. Step 1 assesses the situation.
Her princess incapacitated and on fire. 5 villains firing force blasts at the princess. 1 villain, the speaker using telekinetically controlled blades to attack. The princess is on fire!
She needed a plan, a course of action. What could she do? What should she do? A thought flashed across her mind, as if delivered from somewhere else. One of the labels for the pocket was labeled Emergency Plans and Spells. This was the worst emergency possible.
32.
No time to waste. Star's horn emitted a crude, violent pulse of magic, a crude fifth-dimensional rip, and the pocket was torn open, scattering its contents. Hundreds of scrolls and books fell to the ground around her. Looking around, how was she going to find what she needed? She would need to come up with a spell to find the spells that she needed to save the princess.
31.
Dread filled Star. She didn't have time. What should she do? She could feel her body starting to hyperventilate. It was not meant to happen this way.
30.
The counter spoke in an almost soft tone, coming from directly in front of Star. Star looked up. A gray unicorn mare was in front of her. 6 scrolls levitating in a white aura. The counter holding them before Star as if an offering. The mare. The counter had no expression on her face, and a glowing gold collar that was burning her with golden energy. The collar seemed to be trying to counter the telekinesis, holding the scrolls.
29.
The mare before her spoke, voice quavering with pain, yet none of it showing on the mare's face. Star lit her horn, and reached out, accepting the scrolls. When their magic touched flashes of meaningless images, emotions, scents, sounds, desires, and despair, that all floated Star.
Stop,
Star said. And just like that, all of the images stopped, leaving behind a fully formed spell construct in Star's mind. It was more complicated than her spell work from earlier today. It was the most complex spell she had ever encountered. She'd never seen it before, yet it seemed like she had always known it.
28.
A single tear started to fall from the gray mare's face. She had no time. She had to act now. Driving her power into her horn, she flash cast the spell the mare had given her.